Jake, start of a new season, ready to go again. Looking forward to getting stuck in and seeing the back end of pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously pre-season, you need that training for the season, but no, it feels like it's been too long now, and yeah, I think we're all ready for round one.
Tough season for you guys. Obviously, you must feel like there's a bit of putting right to do, but also with some of the new players you brought in, must be a sense of optimism that you can.
Yeah, 100%. Last season was tough, um, mentally as well. Finishing outside the playoffs for us were, you know, by our standards, weren't good enough. So we need to fix that up this year. But like I said, the new signings we brought in, especially Gale, gives us a new sense of direction and new life of playing differently, and I think he's going to help us massively this year.
And your second year under your coach, of course. Did you feel just that little bit more familiar with how he wants to play and what he expects?
Yeah, look, obviously it's like I said, it's disappointing last year, but we didn't really have the players on the field every time and his best team on the field, and I think that's an aim this year to get his best players out there. And when we do have his best players out there, we're going to perform, so that'll definitely help us. But yeah, look, it's another year under his belt, and like I said, to show us what we need to do and what his game plans are going to be. So we've been working on that pre-season, so hopefully it pays off this year.
There's been quite a lot of player movement in this off-season. A lot of big name players moving from club to club. It actually looks like the talent's quite evenly spread out across the league. Are you expecting this to be probably the toughest, most competitive Super League for a while?
Yeah, we're literally talking together then. You look at the teams in the league and the players, and every team's got tougher this year. Even with Toulouse coming up, they look like it's going to be tough to go over there. So there's not one team you look at where you think we'll pick points up there. So it's going to be a tough season, definitely.
And obviously, we got fans back sort of halfway through last season. They weren't there at the beginning. Do you think having stadiums full again will help teams start fast this season? And that added atmosphere will make a big difference in the early stages.
Yeah, massively. Obviously, playing through that COVID and no crowd, it just didn't feel right. No atmosphere. Some players thrive under having a crowd there and getting the crowd going, and especially in a derby. Remember playing at Saints in that derby, and it just like I said, it just didn't feel right. And then going back to when the crowd were there, I think we won by a point, and that helped us out massively.
They must be the first couple of fixtures you look out for when they come out, is those derbies.
Yeah, look, not every player gets to experience them, at other teams, and we're fortunate we've got one of the biggest derbies in the league, and usually looking at around that 20,000 mark. So it's a massive occasion, and like I said, it's always one fixture we look out for.
And on a personal level, obviously we've got a World Cup on the horizon. Are you letting that play in your thinking in terms of trying to work your way into Shaun Wane's thoughts, or will that take care of itself?
They'll hopefully take care of itself. I'm just looking to build on last year, and I've always spoke about being consistent, and probably for once in my career, I thought I did that well last year. So it's just looking to build on that last year and be more consistent again.